Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ambassador, dear friends, I hope you liked the first part of my speech, because we said it was 15 minutes for the speech, 15 minutes for the Q&A, so now we will enter immediately for the Q&A. Thank you for your applause. I will try to make a very short speech, if your short remarks. And thank you for being here on a Monday, on a rainy Monday. For having lived in this city for many years, I understand what it takes. So thank you for making yourself available this morning. It's a great privilege for me, of course, to be able to address a few remarks just after the G7 meeting that we had 2 days ago. And of course, we talked a lot about your subject, global imbalances. By the way, it was not the first time. Unfortunately, it won't be the last one. Because yes, the difference, the gap we have now between mainly, let's be straight to the point, mainly Asia and the United States is starting to be scary for some of us. Huge deficit, large surplus, one side of the planet where you generate surpluses and surpluses and surpluses, 800 billion. Yesterday we had a dinner. Some of the business community told us we're expecting now 1,000 billion soon. It was the expectation, not mine. And on the other side of the ocean, a place on the planet where we borrow a lot of money, both at the level of the government, the state, but also at the level of households. And this is a concern, yes. What does it take in order to rebalance, to find an equilibrium, which is absolutely mandatory for us? I don't want to read all my speech here, because it will be too long, but I have one single answer: structural reforms. That's the only way I think we should have in mind in order to rebalance what we see today on our planet. And it is true that everyone has to play his role here. Europe too, of course. Even if Europe, in this game, I must say, I know I won't be too fashionable now with the remarks I want to make to you, because I know that it's not what you read in the media. But this is what I see. This is what I told, by the way, to my fellow ministers 2 days ago. I kept telling them, and it is the truth. Europe is probably the place on the planet where we have decided to put in place the strongest structural reform ever. Much stronger than in the United States, much stronger than in Asia. Japan did too, on a very long period of time. It's getting better now. But Europe decided over the last 5-6 years to do drastic changes. And guess what? We did. And guess what? Now another surprise for you. Who is driving the strongest reform in Europe? Do you have a name? I will give you one. France. I know that you have been probably focused, or you have focused your attention on the CPE, which was the last of the last of the last of the last of the last small reform over the past 4 years. It was, but it had hidden what happened before. If we had this CPE story in France for 6 weeks, it is not because we didn't want to change. It is maybe because we have changed so much, much more than all other European countries over the past 4 years. By the way, what did we do? We reformed the pension system. Believe me, it's difficult. Believe me, politically, it is costly. And you know in this country what I mean. If we are not able to do it yet, you will have to do it. But it needs determination in order to convince the parliament. Believe me, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Done. We reformed the health system. Believe me, this was something extremely important, especially in the mindset of my fellow citizens who believe that they had the best system in the world, and we had to tell them, no, it's wrong. We need to correct what you believe was the best system in the world. We reformed the tax system last year, made now listen carefully, if I may say, ladies and gentlemen, if I may, making French tax system one of the most competitive of the planet now. It was voted last year in front of the Parliament. I did it myself. I can tell you that it was tough. I can tell you that they almost killed me in the Parliament. Because when I say that the maximum tax you will pay for IRS, your IRS, will be capped at 40%, in the UK at 44%, going down from 52 to 40%, it was voted. When we mention that now, in order to fix the wealth tax problem we had in France, we have a shield telling that when you add all taxes, including city taxes, local taxes, wealth tax, it's capped at 60%. Nobody can now pay more than 60% of its revenue in France, which is a French revolution, believe me, regarding the spirit we had. Done. When we said that after 6 years, you don't pay taxes on capital gain for any stocks you own, done. When we said that when you invest in your company, you could be the CEO, you could be a board member, you could be an employee, you deduce the amount you invest from your tax system. Done. When we said, I'm sorry, but it's long, the list is long, this is probably why you had this riot for a very small contract called CPE. When we said last year that we reformed heavily the labor market while putting in place a contract, which is called CNE, allowing SMEs to hire and fire the way they want, giving more flexibility, and at the same time giving more security to the employees. Done. And by the way, we have created in less than 8 months 410,000 new contracts using this flexible tool, targeting 40% of the population. It was done. CPE was just for 5%. When, I'm sorry, the list is long, but when we see that last year we were lucky enough to welcome in France $47 billion of foreign investment in France, which makes France the more attractive country in Europe, the more open country in Europe, twice highest number comparing Germany, 3 times more than in the comparing in the United States, for example. Last year you welcomed 136 billion foreign investment, 47 billion in France. Finally, when for the first time since many years we reported that in 2005, thanks to my team, I was able to report that the fiscal deficit of France was not as targeted, minus 3.4%. It is in the US minus 3.7%, by the way. But we were able to reduce down for the first time ever at 2.87%, continue to go down. This country is called France. So this is what's happening, and this is why today the fastest growing economy on our own side is France. And my dream, yes, it's true, when I accepted to move from a CEO position with my pay, with my stock, leave aside all my stock options, in fact, I have no stock options anymore, divided by 20 my salary, or 25, or even 100, I don't know, don't remember, just to serve the country, which is another. It's just because I wanted to put all my energy towards this vision for my country. I just want to summarize it. Make that France will be the leading economy in Europe within the next 10 years, and we are on our way. Made all the structural reform, they're almost done. Make France one of the best prepared economy in the economy of after, I mean by that, intangible economy of knowledge, and we are on our way to do this. Finally, in order to reset the mindset of my fellow citizens, I have launched last year a huge debate that I think we should launch in all our countries, including in the United States. It took a lot of courage from myself and my team, I can tell you, on debt. I have asked Michel Pebro, the chairman and CEO of BNP Paribas, to conduct an independent body in order to give his feeling, and of course I worked very closely with him, on the situation of France. Because it was a huge story in France. French citizens realized that we had a debt. By the way, the same level, our debt is the same level of the American debt. And we have decided that it was just enough. So I prepared a plan. This one was announced this early January, which is a 5-year plan, saying that within the next 5 years, we are committed to go to zero deficit. I don't say minus 3%, I say zero deficit. And to go down below 60% of indebtedness versus GDP. It will be difficult, but at least everybody understood, because I have launched a national debate on this, and this will be discussed in the front of the Parliament in 3 months from now. This being said, this is what it takes when we speak about structural reforms. CPE was just the final one, final touch. Why we had this reaction? Now you get the answer. Probably because we went too far. I don't think we went too far. We went very far. We had to do this, but the good news is that it's done. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. You've given us a wonderful opening here. I think that 10 years from now we will meet again and ask you to review whether your predictions turned out to be correct.
Why 10 years?
Well, because you said 10 years.
Hopefully it will be before that.
Okay, 5 years. Minister, I know that we got started late. Do you have a few moments for questions?
A few moments, but very few, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Now, Ambassador tells me 5 minutes, but I could take 5 questions then.
Oh, okay. Quick questions and short questions. Who will be first? And I would ask you to identify yourself and your affiliation for the rest of us and for the Minister. Who's first? Yes, Noel. And there's. I think we have microphones available here. Just a moment.
Well, I think my voice will project. Mr. Minister, thank you very much for your remarks. And I was just curious if you could comment on employment practices in France and how you see. You know, we were struck by the recent unrest among young people and the attempt to change employment practices there. How's that going to affect the French economy?
We have put in place last year, for the first time in our history, a lot of flexibility in the labor market. And we put in place a new contract for SMEs, allowing for the first 2 years to have full flexibility when you hire somebody. I can tell you that it was a change of paradigm for our union and for part of our politicians too, mainly all the one from the left side. Change of paradigm, new universe. Guess what? I'm coming from the private sector. This was not a surprise to me. It worked. For 8 months, we have created 410,000 new contracts this way. And this had caught the unions aside. Now, thanks to this, we are able to enjoy a decrease on a monthly basis on the unemployment, months after months. When I took my responsibilities, the unemployment was at 10.2%. Today it is at 9.6%. Forecast from my services is that before the end of the year will be below 9%. In a year from now we'll be at 8.7%. Last year, for the first time in our history, we have created 142,000 new jobs in private sector thanks to this contract. So now people understand the flexibility is working. So now what happened with the CPE? The CPE was just a small contract to tackle the youth and to let them to enter faster into the labor market. But the story you have heard was a story of probably a fight from the union, just because we have definitely shown in France that flexibility plus security is working and will change the paradigm. This being said, on the 7 parameters that I monitor carefully, growth, investment, foreign trade, consumer spending, salaries, fiscal deficit, we are, in terms of progress, I'm coming from the private sector. I prefer measure trends. The fastest growing economy in the Eurozone. Sorry, I know it's not fashionable, but it is a fact.
Next question. Yes, halfway back. Please stand.
But we still have a lot of work to do. Don't misunderstand what I'm telling.
Here's a microphone.
All right, thank you. Yes, Charles Davidson. I'm the publisher of the American Interest magazine. And I know there's very little time, but you've spoken about France almost exclusively. Could you comment on reforms that you see that may be needed in international institutions?
Well, first, I think for structural reform, we don't depend on international institutions. We just have to do it ourselves. Because this is painful, this is difficult, and it is our responsibility, the one who are in charge of running our countries. So we cannot ask anybody else to do the job that we have to do. This is true also for this country. The debate we had in France for debt, I believe, that you must have here in this country. You won't be able to continue the way you are today, and you need a national debate for this. The debate we had for pension 2 years ago in France, you need to have in this country. And nobody can do it for you. And believe me, it's painful. It could cost, by the way, your role as a politician if you launch it. But this is what our people are waiting for. Now, in terms of financial institution, 2 days ago, I proposed to the IMF to enlarge its surveillance authority now to the oil market. Yes, oil market is not a regular market, obviously. Some of the ministers present there told us, including ministers of finance from the producing countries, told us that they believe that at $75 a barrel, there is a lot of speculation in the price, which we all know, but they recognize it. Some people said it could be around $30 at least. So it means that we need to use our financial institution now to monitor more carefully this market. Because at the end, the next question will be, are we contemplating the creation of an economic rent? And this is a question that I've raised. And this is what I have asked personally, and I was happy to be followed by Gordon Brown and by others, the IMF, now to monitor specifically this market, make a very important report for our next meeting in Singapore. And believe me, we will have to watch now and to use financial institution to see better what happened in this environment, because we know that probably one of the reasons why we have such a speculation is because the difference between the offer and demand is too tiny. We don't have a buffer in between, and every time we have a new risk appearing on the radar screen, could be terrorist attack, could be typhoon, could be whatever, could be the situation in Iran, then speculation goes up. And of course, this will not be able to last forever. We have to take actions collectively.
We have time for one more very short question, and it's yours. Yes. Now someone will give you a microphone, perhaps. Here comes one on both sides. You're going to have two microphones.
For one question, please.
Mr. Minister, I'm Bruno Fortier from the Quebec government in New York. France is an important investor in the United States. French subsidiaries are the third largest force in the eastern United States. How do you qualify this as an expansion of economy, as a show of force from the French economy?
Well, I think it's extremely important. I mean, the fact that France is investing outside of the country is absolutely mandatory. By the way, as a former CEO, I could tell you that I was extremely surprised to see that over the past 20-25 years, French managers are getting more and more international minded. And I can tell you this: I've run in my life big companies, two CAC 40 companies, operating in more than 125 countries, and I was able to benchmark what I've seen. And I can tell you that yes, we are much more international than we were 25 years ago. We want to continue to invest heavily in any country, including the US. But on the opposite, we want to welcome even more investment in my country. And I'm always extremely shocked when I see this artificial debate on protectionism. No, I would like to assure you that France is not a protectionist country. France, as I said, is a more open country in Europe. Just look at the figures. That's it. On the other hand, it is true that we are, like the US, extremely serious about defense, homeland security, and energy, because this is important. It doesn't mean that we want to block anything. We just want to be clear so that investors will be fully informed when they want to invest. Like in the US, you have a list in the US telling clearly that if you invest in defense or any technology related to homeland security, you just need to have the approval of the president. I did the same in France, in my country. We issued a very short list telling that for any matter regarding defense, homeland security, and it is true that the Minister of Interior asked me to add casino, gambling, because he wanted to be able to monitor what kind of funds are behind, and in France we are careful with what happened in some Eastern money. That's it, just for more clarity. Nothing to do with protectionism. Just being a country well anchored to the world in the 21st century. Thank you.
Minister, we thank you.